Hey guys, welcome back to the Snapprint Chronicles. Today we bring you another Ratchet video. But before we start, as always, if you like this type of content and you find it helpful, could you please consider giving me a like or consider subscribing to this channel, because that would help me out a lot. Okay, today we have a 1/2-inch drive ratchet. This is from the company, I don't know if you can make it out there. It's not a company, but from the nameplate of Speed Master, which was a brand of Montgomery Ward. And these letters, they're pretty thin, but they're kind of cool. They have a pretty cool font to them. You see them here, and I like the way they have the M and the W for Montgomery Ward, and then there's like a little lightning or electricity between the letters. That's a pretty cool touch there. Okay, these look like they were chromed, and they have a raised panel, a slightly raised panel here, which is like a shiny chrome where they put the letters, and on the back they have another raised shiny panel, and that says forged in the USA. And for some reason the very back of the ratchet has been polished but except for the panels and the back, it's pretty much pretty rough. Hasn't been polished except for the head, from like here to the top and around. They kind of left this rough here, this area, kind of a matte finish, and they left the plates kind of matte, and they shined up the back of the gear, and the anvil is pretty shiny also. Okay, that's how the switch works. And this design has very little back drag. It's very light. Alright, let's open it up and see what's inside. Okay, these have two separate plates, one in the back and one in the front. So when you take this apart, make sure you hold the head of the ratchet, because once you take these screws off, the plate and the gear is going to want to hit the floor. Okay, here's the bottom plate and the gear. That's what the plate looks like. It's a pretty heavy plate. It's pretty thick, as you can see there. Here's the gear. Oh, I didn't count how many teeth, but let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. It's 24 teeth on this gear, so it's pretty coarse. Here is the ball detent. Looks slightly off center there, the way it was peened. So the teeth, here's a look at the teeth. They're pretty big teeth. And here here are the screws for the plates, just regular screws, regular machine screws that are Phillips heads. Okay, here's the top plate. And see if I can get this out without the pawls falling out. Okay. Okay, here's the switch. And it looks like the switch was peened on the inside here. You can see where it was peened here onto the inner switch. The inner switch looks like just a piece of plate metal that was formed. Looks like the legs were bent up to form the switch to open and close the pawls. So it just looks like a piece of plate metal that was machined and like hammered. The two legs were hammered up to create a switch. So no casting there, nothing special. That's a pretty quick and dirty way of making a switch. And here are the pawls. This is the usual kind of Proto plum style ratchet with the two pawls. This is what the pawls look like. This is an old design. It's pretty tried and true. It's still used today in a lot of ratchets. A lot of like your Harbor Freight ratchets, like the ones I reviewed a couple of days ago. The swivel heads, they use pretty much the same design. Except the pawls on those have like have a few teeth, and this pawl is just flat. So it's basically one tooth. And here's the inside of the head. I don't know, the machining doesn't look too great here. I mean, it works. I mean, it holds the plate, but if you can see here, see these lines, they're kind of cut, kind of all like not so great. And then there's another line on the inside. Looks like they took a few passes there. And over here, this line looks a bit kind of raggedy. And here's the other side. The other side more the same. It looks they took off a lot here and left some here. And this side also kind of raggedy. Doesn't look that precise. See all that? Looks kind of like a fast and loose job. These look to be from Penens. From the Penens wing of Proto. Penens was a subsidiary of Proto, so you see a lot of Penens style ratchets that under a lot of different names. This particular ratchet was marketed under a lot of different names. One that comes to mind is Fleet, and off the top of my head, I think that's the only one. Oh, and I think Penens, the name Penens itself had the same ratchet also, under Penens. But this is a pretty prolific ratchet. You see a lot under a lot of different names. Okay, to put this back together, I want to start with what the letters, the name of the ratchet. Here, the nameplate, and that way we know which way we're going. Okay, so here is the switch plate. It corresponds to the side where it has the Speed Master. You turn that over, keep your fingers underneath, because it's gonna wanna fall out, and you take your paws and you drop them inside of those cutouts. The cutouts are like holders. They hold the paws in place. So you get them in there and they should be secure. Like you can't pull them out. Okay, now you switch it. You keep holding the bag because it wants to fall out. And you switch it to where you can have some space behind the paws to get the springs in. Okay, like that. Remember, you want to put the thicker part of the spring on the back and the narrow part of the spring, the pointier part, towards the paw. Okay, now you keep holding the back. You switch it, and that gives room underneath this paw. You put that spring like that. Okay, now you put your gear in. Put your gear in, and this is what it looks like when it's ratcheting. Let's see if I can switch this. Okay. Oops. I'm telling you, it wants to fall out. And this is what it looks like when it's ratcheting that side. Okay. Okay, now you take your anvil plate and you put it like that. Okay, now you want to flip it over. You hold both sides down. And you put in your screws, holding both sides. Okay, you got one screw in. Now you can let go because it'll hold. You put the next screw in. Okay. Now you test it out to see if it's ratcheting. Yep, it's ratcheting. So that's my teardown of the Speed Master by Montgomery Ward. And these were, like I said, made by Penens, a subsidiary of Proto. Okay guys, until next time.